Hello, and welcome to the I've Seen Everything Reaction Wrap-Up podcast. Here is where I share my thoughts, reactions, and review for my latest reaction videos. To find these full reaction videos, please search for @SeenEverything over on YouTube, or check the description of this podcast for more information. Also, please remember to rate and comment on this episode, and follow the podcast so you can see when I'm putting out new wrap-ups. And now, on to my latest wrap-up for Cocaine Bear. Alright, so this is the wrap-up right after Cocaine Bear. I have to say I don't know what I expected. Obviously the title, the premise, kind of feels like the whole snakes on a plane type thing. I haven't seen that one either. Let me know if you want me to watch that. But it's one of these things where the title is very evocative and it gives you an idea of like, oh, that'd be a lot of fun to watch, or that'd be a crazy premise or whatever. And I still feel like it could have been, but I don't know, maybe not. Maybe there's not actually that much there. Long way around to say I was a little bit disappointed by this movie. I thought it was okay. I enjoyed it to some degree. I have certainly seen worse horror movies. I've seen a lot of horror movies and a lot of bad ones. They were going for kind of a horror comedy type thing here, kind of like a Zombieland maybe. I don't know if all the comedy hit very well. Some of it did. The horror stuff, I feel like they really relied on gore in certain situations. Like they relied on these kind of somewhat shocking gore effects. You see a leg or something like that, someone died in a very violent way. But it was like a couple of minutes out of the whole thing. I don't know if they did a great job building the suspense toward that. I just know that I felt kind of bored for a lot of the movie, which I certainly didn't expect out of a movie like Cocaine Bear and how it's marketed and just what that title would suggest. I expected it to kind of get going and just kind of keep running pretty full speed through most of it. Obviously, you have to slow down in certain parts to tell a story. They spent a lot of time setting up in the beginning, like a third of the movie, just kind of setting up characters. I think that's probably why they had the death scene in the beginning, was to give you some sense of the danger that was going to be out there that these characters are going to be facing, but also just to give you something exciting up top before they did all of this setup with the characters. I don't often say they spend too much time setting up characters. I feel like they spent a lot of time, but I don't feel like we didn't get a big payoff on that time. Like, it didn't get us to care about the characters that much more, I don't feel like. The pacing felt unbalanced. The whole thing kind of felt disjointed. In horror movies, you do have this back and forth of there's like slow, suspenseful stuff, and then the thing happens and, people die and all that kind of stuff, and then you go back to that. But this just felt really disjointed to me. Maybe it's just me. Let me know if you disagree. Let me know if you enjoyed this movie more than that. I didn't hate this movie, but honestly, I'm looking at the rating and review thing in front of me, and I'm trying to find a way to give it 3 stars. And I don't even know if I can give it 3 stars. I'm really looking more at 2.5. And I know you don't necessarily know this about me because, well, I don't know what order you're watching any of this stuff in, but I'm not usually that harsh on movies. I'm usually like looking to give a movie a good rating. And generally what I look for is not even necessarily how much I enjoyed the movie. That does come into play. But what I look for is, what was the movie trying to do? And did it effectively do that? And I don't think this necessarily very effectively did what it was trying to do. But I struggle because I don't know if that's because the premise just isn't, there's not as much there as maybe there originally seems like there would be, or if if they didn't do an effective job. I know Elizabeth Banks directed this. I don't know if this is her first directing gig or if she's done other work since or whatever. I'd be interested to see some of the other stuff she's done. This was an attempt at a fun movie. There were fun parts. It certainly wasn't one of these really dark horror movies that just really tries to traumatize you, although there was some traumatizing gore in there to some degree. But yeah, I think I've said what I can say about it. I think I'm gonna have to just give it 2.5, right down the middle. What that basically means to me, a 3-star movie for me is something that I would watch again. It's not a movie I love, but if it's on, I'd probably sit and watch through it, or maybe put it on in the background or something like that. That's a 3-star movie for me. This is a movie that I'm glad I watched. I don't think it was terrible. I certainly think it could have been worse, but I'm probably not going to watch it again. If I saw this on, especially because of the gore, it's not something you put on casually. If I just saw this on, I probably would change the channel. Or I'd probably switch over to something else, like click over to something else. The only way I would probably watch this again is if like I had a friend or something that hadn't seen it who wanted to. But other than that, I'm probably not going to watch it again. So, and that's disappointing to me. I hope to enjoy it more. It is what it is. So we end up, for all of those reasons I listed, at 2.5 stars. And that's my review of the movie as well. But I hope you enjoyed this reaction at least. Oh, I don't know what I'm gonna be able to edit this into. This is my first time again doing a reaction, so we'll see how it comes out. But I do hope you enjoyed this. This has been my reaction for Cocaine Bear. So until next time, stay away from bears on cocaine. I don't know how much of a danger that actually is, but I certainly hope you have a good day. Take care.
Thanks so much for listening to the I've Seen Everything reaction wrap-up. Again, to find these full reaction videos, please search for @SeenEverything over on YouTube or check the description of this podcast for more information. Also, please remember to rate and comment on this episode and follow the podcast so you can see when I'm putting out new wrap-ups. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll meet you here for the next episode.